This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College and the digital media program here. I want to thank the fine folks at Sweet Bay for being a sponsor of Coach's Corner. So if you see any of those folks, tell them thank you and for their support of Commodore athletics here at the college. Coach Powell and I are going to talk a lot about men's head basketball coach here at the college. We're going to talk a lot about basketball. We're going to fill the entire show with preview about what's going on, what's coming up, who's back, who's what the conference looks like. So, Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks, I appreciate it. We're excited and looking forward to another season. As you know, we start a couple of weeks after a season ends, and we start get going again after spring break. And we've had a productive spring, summer, and fall. So now we're into all-out practice. We started that on October 2nd this year. Men are doing a good job. There are definitely some things that we're going to work on. We'll talk about that a little bit. But overall, we have a good group of men that are good basketball players, so I'm looking forward to this.
So let's back up a little bit. So you're about right. Almost before before the season's over with, you're already starting to look and track men you're trying to sign for the next season because their high schools are playing and you're trying to see them play their final games. So basketball, you know, it's not like it ends in February or March and you're done until November. There's a lot goes on. So you start actually probably watching a lot of high school basketball in February or so.
We do. We don't usually get too deep into offers and things like that until January or February with young men. But just as an example, this past weekend and then 2 weekends ago also, Coach Smith, our assistant, was on the road recruiting. High schools in Georgia were working out and practicing. There are a couple of good players that we have ends with. And so he was Friday evening and Saturday morning, that's where he was, recruiting, talking to young men, meeting with them during their senior year in order to kind of get Gulf Coast and get our program, you know, our foot in the door with those men and their families. So you're always recruiting. That part never stops. My family and I took a vacation this summer. I made sure I could get to Wi-Fi at least once a day at a scheduled time so I could FaceTime with men, even to wrap up this season's roster. So that's full time, like you said, and we stay on it. And then the training has become pretty much year-round also, with a 6 or 7 week exception during the summertime.
So, because if you don't condition and weight train and do that, once those men are signed, you know, that weight room is so big, especially for an incoming freshman that's played high school ball and now going to play college ball. Sometimes there's a transition there as far as just strength and playing the game physically.
You're exactly right. There is a transition time. And most young men and high school basketball coaches, they have a lifting program. Sometimes just because of just time that high school coaches have with their team, you know, after the school day and you practice 3 to 5 and possibly the teacher or the coach has been teaching since 7:15 that morning, first period. It's acceptable that there's, and understandable that there just isn't a lot of time to do those things. So men, when they get to us, we stress in the weight room, we stress safety, and we stress it's not about where you start when you get here, whether it be for summer school or a couple of the men got here just in the fall and late August for the school year. It's not where you start. It's about improving your strength every day, getting stronger, getting faster, getting quicker, those type things. And we can measure those. And I think back in the day, maybe a thin, a thin kid, a thin young man would come in and be intimidated. So we try to just set the tone early. Some of you are bigger than others naturally. It's about from where you start to where you're going to be when your 2 years or 1 year is over here. And that way it can just be a positive outlook getting into that weight room so it's not as overwhelming.
Because I know Nate Hicks was 6'11". When I got him, he weighed 160 pounds. And when he left high school, he weighed 210. But a 6'11", 210 is still a thin college basketball player.
No doubt. And it's hard, and their metabolism's going, and they have to run to be in shape, and so there are all kinds of factors. And so it's difficult for men that age. You know, if they were 37 like me, it wouldn't be near as hard to gain a couple of pounds. But But they've done a good job. The weight room work has been good. It's been very structured and organized, and we hope that continues all the way up until conference.
Now, we're going to talk about a lot of new players. You have a new assistant coach. It came from Michigan. How do you get a assistant coach from Michigan, Coach?
Well, at the National Coaches Meeting, National Association of Basketball Coaches meeting last year, a very good friend of mine who was the associate head coach at Iowa State and at the University of Washington is now the head coach at South Dakota State University. And our previous assistant coach, Coach Vogler, who did a great job, decided to go into a different area of business and to remain local. And in order, obviously, to move up in the basketball coaching world, you're going to have to move, and you're going to have to move several times. So Coach Vogler did a great job. He took another opportunity that presented itself. And so Coach Smith came onto the picture, I guess, through my friend. And we met at the Final Four at the coaches' meetings, and we spent a lot of time together. And then we stayed in touch over a couple of weeks as we're going through the process of finding the best fit for our program here at Gulf Coast. And Coach Smith happened to be that guy. He was reared near Ann Arbor, Michigan, went to college in Ohio, was a GA at Iowa State, and then he also spent a year as the Director of Player Development at Iowa State. So he did so much work with their film breakdown, did a lot of work with on-campus recruiting, did a lot of work with individual improvement of their players at Iowa State. And that was instant credibility for our current players because, hey, there's guys in the NBA right now that he's worked out one-on-one on the court, helping them get better, helping them get to where they wanted to be. And so he's now passing on some of those same lessons to our men that he passed on to those guys. So it's been a very good fit because the head coach can't always be there and can't just oversee the whole program, but can't oversee every individual workout like we do every practice. So it's been very good, and he's done a great job.
So and the reason I know he's from Michigan, I saw it on the back of his car.
Yeah.
His tag, and my wife's from Michigan, so that made it some common area there. So, all right, let's talk about the roster this year, Coach. Before we do that, where did young men go last year that graduated? Let's give the Commodore fans a little update.
Well, we had, first I'll go with Tyler Bird, went to Florida Atlantic University. He was a qualifier. He was only here 1 year. But he moved on to Florida Atlantic. And then we had Van Johnson, who has gone to Martin Methodist College in Pulaski, Tennessee, an NAIA school there. Should be a good fit for Van. We know how well he defended the ball, and at times he made some really nice spot-up shots for us. Played hard during his 2 years here. So Van was able to earn a full scholarship there and move on. So we're excited for him. And then we had Jeremy Harris, who was our most talented player a year ago. He went to the University of Buffalo. He signed before last season started with them. And the reports I get from Brian and Nate are that he's doing a very good job, and they're excited about him and think that he's going to potentially be a starter for them. If not, definitely in the rotation of 6 or 7 guys, and he's going to have a big season. Then we also had Londell King, who was able to graduate after playing here just 1 year, but he had transferred from Southern University, played here 1 season. He redshirted at Southern, played here 1 season, and now he'll have 3 years at Morehead State University. That's in the OVC. It's in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. So new coach there at Morehead State, a friend of mine, Kentucky guy, Preston Spradlin. So I'm happy for Londell, and they're excited about him too. Said that he's bringing a lot of toughness and grit to their team that they needed. So all the reports I'm getting back, and even with Scott Combs, coach at Martin Methodist on Van, the reports I'm getting back are that it's positive and men are working hard and representing our program the right way. And so I'm excited about that and excited to see what the future holds for those 3 guys.
Well, they played a lot, and they move on. And a coach, when I coached high school ball, if I could get them to the next level, that was a great feeling because you had an impact. And in your case, you're getting them to the next level, which will have an impact on their life for the rest of their life. Because they won't always play basketball, but they'll always have an education.
It's so true. We talk a lot about character. Who are you? Used to, I thought character, maybe a simple layman's definition would be, how do you act when no one's watching, or you think that no one's watching? But nowadays, we also say, or when people are watching, because sometimes people, whether it be for ego or whatever reason, will act differently when people are watching. And so we talk about that every team meeting. We have a PowerPoint every couple of 3 weeks with the men, and we talk about character. That's going to last. Who you are on the inside, that will last. The education that you earn or that you receive and the degrees that you earn, that will last. Basketball, they're great feelings. I still remember times from when I played, remember a ton of times now that I've been coaching for a pretty good while. But we're trying to set these men up to be, great fathers, great husbands, great friends, great followers of whatever religion they follow, all of those things as well as basketball. And so pretty soon it's been ordered, and our maintenance department will have them up on the wall leading from the court, from the wood floor back to our locker room. We were able to get some new banners and signage up in that hallway around our locker room to spruce things up, because we haven't really been able to do that in the time that we've been here. And so that was a nice thing to add this summer, this off season. We also are going to have pictures of each man in my 10 seasons, and we would go back further. I just don't have photographs of all those men. It's their photograph, their headshot, what year they played here, what school that they went on to, if they graduated or not, which we've graduated a little over 92% of the sophomores in the 10 years I've been here, and that's a testament to the men, the professors, the institution as a whole, with the vision that the institution has towards athletics. But we're going to have those up on the wall, and I'm excited about that. I already know who they are, but I'm excited for our men to see there's a standard. I can tell them, and they can hear it audibly, but I want those guys to see, wow, at this point I believe it's 58. 58 men have played for Coach, and 58 men have moved on to the next level. Actually, 61 sophomores have played for me. 3 have gone into different areas of life. So 58 men have moved on. That's the expectation. That's the standard. We're going to work our rear end off here. We're going to earn an education, earn a degree, receive an education, and we're going to move on to the next school to better our life. I'm excited about those pictures getting up there, just so the men every day can be reminded, there's something I need to live up to.
So we'll see those on the wall, and that's great for those young men to be able to walk down the hall and see those things. 3 returners, Coach. Let's talk about them.
Well, we'll start with Will Robinson. He's a very talented young man, had a great freshman season for us, started almost every game. There was 1 or 2 times. The only negative I can say about Will at all, and I'll start with that just because it's so brief, is that there's sometimes he didn't focus in on defense the way he should have last year. But offensively and rebounding, he's been great. He's improved on the defensive end, and he's just become a very solid player and a very solid person. He can attack the basket. He's a good passer. He can handle it a little bit. He's worked really hard on his perimeter jump shot. And, we're going on a year and a half, because he was in summer school before his freshman year, his entire freshman year, last summer. Now he's been here for a few months, again, his sophomore year. I don't know that I've ever had to correct Will, with, the way he's wearing his clothes, or the way that he's treating another person, or the way that he's approaching his classwork. And so that says a lot about a young man in 2017, especially because I can be hard on men. I have high expectations of them to act right, dress right, speak right, all of those things. So can't rave enough about Will Robinson, and he's doing a good job of leading us right now. Also, Josh Wade, same type thing. Josh is such a good young man, such a hard worker. He's going to be one of our defensive specialists, and I'm not for sure I've seen a young man improve his jump shot over a 2.5-year period as much as Josh has. Josh being a standout at Rutherford High School, most of his offensive action, because he was faster and stronger than most everyone else, he was able to do off the bounce, getting to the rim. But we all, and more importantly, he has a lot of confidence in his jump shot right now, and we want that to continue. But he's one of our best defenders, and he's a vocal leader. There have been times practice has been dragging, been tough, just through the grind, and Josh has had the energy to pick everybody up and get people going. So I'm really excited about Josh being one of our captains. And then we have Dyshane Murphy from Kingstree, South Carolina. He's fun to watch. He's short in stature, but he's got some bulldog in him. He plays hard. He made some big shots for us at end of games last year. And so because you need people in case late in games people, press you, you need guys that can, traditionally we say, beat the press with the pass. But the game's changed a little bit, and that's still the preferred way, but sometimes you need to be able to get the ball to a man and don't let them press you. And they just get the ball up before a press can get set or before traps can get set, things of that nature. And Shane brings that to the table for us. So I'm looking forward to see what comes with Shane, with his leadership and with his maturity, and seeing if he can have a good season for us as well. His and Will's Josh's numbers were pretty good for a freshman, but Will and Shane both had very good numbers as freshmen in the Panhandle Conference. Both averaged double-digit points. Shane averaged 4.5 to 5 assists per game, and Will averaged a little over 5 rebounds per game. So those are pretty stout numbers for freshmen in our league.
Pretty tough to do that. Let's take a 30-second break, and then we'll come back and talk about all the new players on the Commodore roster. On the Commodore Sports
Programming is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City designed to inspire natural and relaxed living with a dash of southern charm. The Sweet Bay community features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and much more. It's got all the makings of a friendly neighborhood with everything you need, just a short walk away. For more information about the Sweet Bay community, call 844-35-SWEET or go online to sweetbayfl.com.
Welcome back, Commodore fans. Coach, now let's talk about, you have 3 returning. We got 7 sophomores on the team, 5 freshmen. So we obviously have 4 sophomores that are transfers.
Yep, that is correct. And I'm gonna ask you just to help me stay flowing, because as I speak about each one, I don't want to leave anybody off. But we'll start. There you go. What a nice guy. What a nice guy. I don't want to be like one of all of our favorite coaches, football coaches. Every once in a while on his coach's show would have to say, look at number 80, running the ball down the sideline. So I don't want to be that guy if I can help it. But we have Miles McGregor. He's a freshman, redshirt freshman. Great young man as well. Comes from a good family out of Charlotte, North Carolina. He played last year at Presbyterian College. I'll go ahead and cover him because he redshirted because of an ankle injury. But at the same time, so he brings some experience. He practiced a lot during the season last year, and he'll in a lot of ways be like a sophomore. Then we go to Ty Gibson. He was at Frank Phillips College in Texas, which is a junior college. Had a good season, averaged just under 11 points per game there at Frank Phillips. And we've kind of seen him work. He was always kind of a wing, 2-guard, small forward type player, but he's really developed to handle the ball. And in our scrimmages last Sunday, he played the point for us a pretty good bit. And so I'm excited about Ty's progression, and I hope that continues. I hope that he continues to mature on and off the court, because he can really be a nice player for us. Quadre Smith played his freshman season at Providence College in Rhode Island in the Big East. Q is 6'8", 250, and just a big man. Has very good moves. He's an around the rim type player, not always an above the rim, but he's not a below the rim for his size player either. He can jump pretty well, and very good low post moves, a nice 3-point jump shot, 15, 16-foot jumper. We have a lot of confidence in him. Expect big things for him because he's a smart man too. He sees things on the court that most men his age don't. Ben Eke, 6'8", 225 or 230 from Miami of Ohio. Went to high school in West Virginia and averaged a double-double as a senior in high school. Ben is strong, athletic, good shot blocker, has a great jump hook over his left shoulder, developing other moves. And he has a nice 14, 15-foot jumper as well. So I'm excited about Ben. And then Marlon Adams. Marlon comes from Eastern Kentucky University, averaged 5.5, 6 points per game, 3 or 4 rebounds per game at a Division I. And he's a 6'6", probably 225-pound, just built like a grown man, very aggressive player. He's actually been out for a month now with a bone bruise inside of his knee, and that's kind of hampering his progression. We were hoping that he would move a little bit from the power forward type position to the small forward type position. We have a lot of confidence in our medical staff that he's going to be healthy and ready to go when the season comes, but we needed this month to help his skill set develop. So we'll have to see how quickly that skill set can develop once he gets back and he's able to work on his game. Time will tell. But if he stays at the power forward position, then that's still going to be good because he's athletic, has great nose for the ball rebounding, has a pretty good spot-up jump shot, and he has very good post moves, uses his body, his hips, and his shoulders well. So excited about all of those guys. I think that they can bring a lot to the table and do some good things for us. And there's just something different about men that have been in college for a year. They've been through a program. They know what it's like to be on time. They know what it's like to bring great energy every day. And so those things, having 7 sophomores, have been beneficial so far.
So now let's talk about the freshmen for a little bit, Coach.
Yep, our freshmen, I'm very big on Daniel Kiley. He's from Oakland Mills, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore. Actually was Will Robinson's teammate when Will was a senior and went out to Oakland Mills, just outside of the city up there. Continuing to work with Daniel's perimeter jump shot, but intelligence, size, and strength. You know, he's 6'3", maybe 6'3 and a half, point guard that's not just real skinny, has a decent build on him. So he and Ty together at the point have provided some good looks for us because it gets us back to that same size we were a few years ago with Basil DeVoe, Chad Frazier, some of those point guards that we've had that were in the 6'3", 6'4 height range. So Daniel, I'm big on him. I'm very excited. He guards the ball well for a taller guard. His arms are long. He's a quiet man, but in our scrimmages, we were all shocked and surprised as a staff. You know, he spoke up and he got men where they were supposed to be and seemed to have a lot of confidence doing that. So excited about him. Jordan Thomas is a 6'6", athletic wing, still raw in a lot of ways, but a hard worker, great potential. He has to decide, you know, that he's going to find it, that he's going to reach that potential. He's been very coachable, which is a good thing and is a good sign for him and his future here and at other colleges as well. But he still has just great ability that's untapped still. So that's the type player that you want because we have those sophomores, so we want guys that have the athleticism, the strength. It's in there. All right, so we're going to give you a little time. We're going to work you and we're going to push you in order to bring all those great things out on the court. We have Oscar O'Keek, 6'11". I'm going to stop short of calling him a project because actually his shot, it's pretty productive, you know, but he has that benefit. He shoots the ball from well over his head, and so while the rest of us shoot up at the goal, Oscar gets to shoot down at the hoop. Not that his trajectory is that way with his shot, but that makes that hoop a little bit bigger when it's going at that angle instead of having to go up and down. But he doesn't have a lot of post moves yet. We're working on that daily, but goodness gracious, he can just reach up and he's already around the rim. He's strong. All of the guys despise it when they're having to defend him in practice or defend the other post guy in practice because Oscar sets bone-crushing screens, and so when those occur, it really the other guys get frustrated because they get tired of running into him. You know, and he's built pretty well for a 6'11" man. So excited about Oscar. And then we have Philippe Markovic. Philippe has a good passing and ball handling skill set. Still has things to work on. One of those things being strength. We have some other guys at those positions that if he'll continue to work hard in the weight room, develop his strength, develop his just kind of knowledge of the American game. He knows basketball pretty well, but we play it a little differently here than in other parts of the world still. And so he's still getting adjusted to the way we do things in America. But Philippe has a chance of being a nice player for us, and he's a great young man as well, a good student. And so we're excited about him being in the program also.
Well, now, Commodores have already suited up and played 3 scrimmage games. Let's talk briefly about those, Coach.
We went to Tallahassee. They played 23-minute running clock halves, so some of the time that is lost because of the running clock it's 23 minutes instead of 20, so it's close. You only get one timeout per half, and they don't carry over. So somewhat game-like, but not exactly. We played St. Petersburg College in the first scrimmage. Very good program. Played in the state championship game last year, and so we were able to defeat them in the scrimmage. That was a good win for us. Then we also played Florida State College of Jacksonville. Coach Orr over there does a nice job. We were able to win that game. And then, I guess we won by 14, by 6. And then in the last game, we played Santa Fe College. Coach Mowry at Santa Fe has been in it a couple of years longer than me. And they always have a nice squad, have a nice team. We were able to knock them off, I think, by 10. So we went over there. It was a good day. I know that the men wondered a little bit, or where are we going to be? How are we? I was excited that we were going to play very good competition. Florida junior colleges are always very competitive, so I was excited about that. And we were able to experience a little bit of winning. Those scrimmages don't go on the record. At the end of the day, you could argue that they don't mean anything. But since we kept score, we would rather win than lose. And so we went over there, we did that. Men played hard, played together, and we saw some good things that in watching the film, wow, if we'll just correct these little things, and they're very correctable errors, then we could be even better. And so we were able to show the men that on film, talk to the men about that in practice, and hopefully just have continual growth.
And nice thing about that is you're not practicing against yourself. You got another team you got to adjust and do, correct, make things. And like you said, it's nice to be able to take that film, that game tape, and break it down. And these are coachable errors, and we can fix those before you start playing the games that count. Because pretty soon you'll scrimmage a couple more times between now and November 3rd. But November 3rd, we tie them on for real.
That's right, and it'll be here before we know it. We play a team that's picked to go to the national tournament in Southwest Tennessee Community College, or Southwest Tennessee College. Back in the day when I was growing up, and even when I was a high school coach just outside of Memphis, it was Shelby State. If there's anybody that lives down here now that's from West Tennessee or North Mississippi or Southeast Arkansas, they would know it by Shelby State Community College. So a big challenge right off the bat. These scrimmages, exactly like you were saying, we're wanting to grow, get better, correct errors, be able to compliment men on things they do well. But even those first games, you could even say maybe those first 18 games, but those first games, there's still going to be growth and corrections and figuring stuff out in those games as well. We know that, we anticipate that, but like you said, we want to win them all.
Because all those games lead up to January 6th, which we open Panhandle Conference play in the Billy Harrison Fieldhouse against Tallahassee Community College. And then from there on out, all those games are really important.
No doubt. That's exactly right.
So I was going to ask you, Coach, about how the other teams look, but we pretty much talked to it. Briefly, can you tell us the teams you saw, how they look?
Chipola, great athleticism. Northwest Florida State, a little bit younger than what they have been. Great talent. Have one player especially transfer from Ohio State. It's really good. Tallahassee, like us, brought in some good transfers from Division I's, and so they reloaded with a good amount of talent. And then Pensacola really brought in a transfer too, but brought in some very nice high school players. I have not been able to see Pensacola play. I was able to watch the other three play. I understand that Pensacola scrimmaged this past Friday and Saturday down in Orlando, so I'll get reports on that shortly. But all five of us are going to be good again, and so we'll all try to get as good as we can by January 6th, and then we'll throw it up and play some ball.
We'll go from there. So for Coach Jay Powell, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.